class. Today we're going to talk about some proofreading tips. But before we get into those tips, let's just take a moment to talk about what proofreading is. Proofreading is about looking for errors in grammar, spelling, punctuation, or capitalization. Typographical errors also fall in there as well. You want to find the errors and correct them before turning in any work for grading. Now, our first proofreading tip is write at night and edit at morn. The idea with this is that you want to put some distance between when you write a paper and when you come back to proofread it. And ideally, the best thing to do is get yourself a good night's sleep before looking at the paper. You'll be refreshed, relaxed, and open to finding errors. Now, what you might say is, but I don't have the luxury of writing at night and then getting up and editing in the morning. I have a job to get to. Even so, you do need to put some kind of space between when you write and then when you come back to it to look at any errors, to look for any errors you may have made. At the very least, what you should do is, once you've finished writing, put it down and then get up and take a little walk, even if it's to go get a cup of coffee. You'll find that that will recharge your brain. You might say, reset it so that it's open to finding errors. If you write and then right away look at your paper, go through it, looking for proofreading errors, you're not likely to find them. In many cases, what happens is your brain will read what it expects to see, not necessarily what's really on the paper. It knows what you just were doing and what you intended to write. However, if you put even just a little bit of distance between the time when you write something, when you go back to proofread it, your mind has a chance to reboot, so to speak, and give a fresh pair of eyes to that paper and be open to any errors that you may have made. The second tip is to free your mind. You're going to find more errors if you're relaxed than if you're stressed. Okay? Because your mind will be more open to it. So what you might do to relieve some stress is to chew some gum while you work. Some people play soft music in the background. Just do something that relaxes your mind so that you're more open to things and you will take in the words better. A stressed mind just doesn't seem to work as well as one that's relaxed. Don't try to do everything at once. Even though you may have heard, hey, multitasking is great, not when it comes to proofreading. If you try to look for every type of error all at the same time, you're going to miss something. So make more than one proofreading pass. The first one might be to use your spell checker to look for errors. I have to be honest, I cannot tell you how many times I receive papers that have those squiggly red lines under misspelled words, and I think, why didn't the person just spell check it before handing it in and make the corrections? Spell check should be your first proofreading pass, and then you can make another one for, let's say, grammatical errors, and a third for punctuation. Again, don't try to do it all at once, or you're bound to forget you're bound to miss some error. Your top 10, 7, 5, we're not talking about greatest hits. What we're talking about are the types of common errors you make when writing. Everybody has a common error that they make on a regular basis. What you should do is have a little crib sheet near your PC of those errors you most often make, and then make those a separate proofreading pass. For instance, in my case, I tend to type too fast, and instead of typing the word manager, M-A-N-A-G-E-R, I'll type manger, M-A-N-G-E-R. It's something that I do very often. Problem is, if I'm proofreading for for spelling in general, there's a good chance that my eyes will not catch that particular error. However, if I'm looking for that in particular, there's a greater chance that I'll find it. So make one of your proofreading passes the common errors that you make in writing. Hard copy or not hard copy? That is the question. Some people edit or proofread better directly on the computer screen. Others find that they have to look at a hard copy printout of the paper in order to do it. Neither is right or wrong. Do the technique that works for you. Now, for hard copy editing, proofreading, I'm going to tell you to break the rule. And the rule was that when you were in grade school, your teacher probably told you not to read by pointing to every word. And use your eyes to read. Well, I'm going to tell you to break that rule now. And when you proofread by pointing at every word. In that way, you don't read anything into your paper. Many times, the mind will read in a word that isn't there, just to make something seem complete. However, if you're pointing to every word and reading it, especially if you read it out loud to yourself, if there's not a word to point to, you're not going to read it, and you're going to find something that's missing. Okay? So break the rule, point at every word. And also a variation, I should say, for those who say, I really can't do that, is read it to yourself. Read the paper to yourself as you're proofreading. When we read out loud, we tend to read every word. Okay? And this way, you will see if something is missing from your work. If you're somebody that edits or proofreads on the screen, try to find a way so that you're able to focus only a line at a time. For some people, what they do is they cover the screen with a piece of paper, revealing a line at a time. It's been shown that if the whole screen is open, the eye is more likely to move and not stay onto that one line, but maybe even skip a line and miss something that you need to proofread. Covering it up and revealing only a line at a time helps you to focus on what's there, what you've written. Now, another proofreading technique is to ask someone to read the paper to you. Sometimes what you need to do is hear your paper out loud. Sometimes you can't catch grammatical errors when you read them to yourself, whether you read them out loud or silently to yourself. However, if somebody else is reading them, you can hear them, and that helps you find errors. Also, having somebody read your paper helps you to hear how it flows. And if your test reader happens to stumble in places, it can give you an idea where there might be problems with the sentence structure or the way that you're explaining something. And in this way, if it's causing your proofreader some problems, well, having somebody else read your paper is like test driving it and seeing if it works. Again, the reader can help you see if passages are unclear or if more information is needed. All in all, proofreading is important. It can be the difference between keeping the audience with you or leaving them scratching their heads.